When texting a girl you like, you might grow frustrated to notice she is not replying as much as you would like. Maybe she is busy, maybe she is texting other guys at the same time, or maybe she's just not into you. But in any case, you can flip the script through texting by using certain hypnotic principles that will hook her attention and make her eager to meet you, which is exactly what you are going to learn about in this video. However, we first have to enumerate the two most difficult, painful problems you have been suffering from if you watch such a video. The first one is that men in general think too much in logical structures, like this. I am A, I want B, B being the girl, and if I can figure out the way that A gets to B, then C will happen. For example, having sex. That is the kind of logic going through most guys' mind. And the big problem is that women don't think like this or process information like this at all. Their mind is rather based on a loop principle, a loop of emotion. They usually want to escalate toward bigger and bigger and bigger emotions until they reach like the core of their feelings, the deepest feeling inside them. Which is also why they sometimes look very incongruent or chaotic, but it is simply because they were at that green spot where emotions explode and what they say might appear incongruent compared to what they said before. On the opposite, when they reach that core in a positive way with positive emotions, then all the things they said they would never do, in the end they might still do them because they are not in the same emotional state anymore. So the main concept I want you to stick in your mind for the rest of this video is to escalate emotional spots one step at a time until you reach the core. It is not about A plus B equals C, not at all. It is not about I paid for the date, therefore she's supposed to kiss me. Nothing like this. It is about which new emotional hotspot can I use until I reach a level of emotions inside her psyche that she will just melt with. The closer you get to the core, the easier everything will happen between the two of you, and we are going to elaborate on how to do this through texting. But before that point, the second main problem you have been suffering from for sure is to believe there is one absolute structure to always get the date or always get to the kiss or always get even later through the way you speak. That certain language patterns are supposed to hook any woman's mind anyway. Which is not the case. You have to accept the very uncomfortable and difficult to process reality of the numbers game, pun intended. When you apply those principles with different conversations, with different girls you are texting, one of them at some point will work because she was a good match for you, she was at a good phase in her life, she was looking for somebody, and some others, they might just be fleeting because they are not in the mood, they don't really look for a guy, they were just trying to get attention at this point, and you never know. So through using techniques like those, like the ones I talk about or the ones any other person talks about, you are going at some point to develop your own method. Not something I said or somebody else said, something you said because it comes from you. With that in mind, let's proceed with the techniques you might use for your next date. This is where we get into the art of opening loops and not closing them yet. Or at least you may close them during the date. Because the main intention you have when starting to text a lady, whether you met her through some online dating app or because you met her at a convention or anything, the main goal is to get her on a date with you. However, especially if she is particularly beautiful, you may not be the first one trying to get her attention. Maybe she's having 10, 20, 25 guys constantly trying to get into her pants all day long, and she might even keep a few of them texting her just for getting some validation or attention, who knows. In order to get yourself out of that pole of losers and get to the top where she will notice you much more, you have to first get and keep her attention on you, which is why hypnotic open loops are a necessity. To give you an analogy that will make a lot of sense, when I studied marketing in the beginning as a guy, I learned the Vicky effect from some marketing guru. He said whenever you want to get attention online, you have to compete with Vicky. Vicky is the 25-year-old model who is showing her boobs, her ass non-stop on Instagram, and those kinds of pictures and people constantly are bombarded bombarding guys' heads all day long. If you want to get their attention despite Vicky, you have to be pretty creative. The same thing happens for a woman with her attention constantly pulled by so many different guys who try to get her validation all day long. But when you master the concept of open loops through texting, you might get and grab her attention and maintain that attention on you at the moment you talk to her. For that to happen, let's say she has some online profile on any kind of platform, you first have to find something unique about her. For that, you get out of your own head and really look at who she is on the picture, and you might notice her haircut, her outfit, anything in her environment or the scene she's into that might be interesting, and you make one intriguing comment about it, or even some open-ended question if possible. As a reminder, an open-ended question is a question you can't reply to by yes or no. It has to be replied to with a deeper answer. For example, if she has a picture with a cat on the picture, you might say, "Whoa, nice cat, I hope it is not the one who was stolen on 6th Street last night." It is not a static line, it has to be based on something that really happened. So if you live on 6th Street in Austin and you had one of your friends getting her cat stolen last night, then it is something to say. The simple purpose behind that is just to build intrigue with something shocking, inducing maybe a bit of fear, a bit of concern, or a bit of curiosity, anything that might be emotional and that is not fully resolved. A cat was stolen, and she might come back at you saying, "Well, no, it is my cat, I bought it myself. What do you talk about?" There you have the hook. There her attention is hooked on the conversation. Next example, let's say she has some nice outfit with some word in Greek or Latin written on it. It might be any other language. You might say, "Well, nice shirt, I like the color." Girls love to be validated in her looks. "I like the color. I bet you know what this word means in Greek, right?" There you have opened the possibility to expand. And whether she knows what it means, and she will say obviously yes, then you might double down on, okay, what does that mean for you specifically? Or if she doesn't know what it means, then you can expand on what it means. And that is a great conversation starter. Even better if you lead into, then what do you think it might mean about you? The more you make her talk about herself in validating positive ways, and the more you get her closer to the core of her emotions, the more she will be eager to exchange more with you. Last example, let's say she has a picture where she's doing cliff jumping, for example, or any kind of extreme sports like this. You might tell her, "Whoa, you're not afraid of heights. What did you feel when you jumped?" Again, an open-ended question. It is not about, did you get scared? Yes, no, and then what? What did you feel? How you felt? How and what questions have to be replied to with deeper answers. Then it is an invitation to share more about her feelings, once again underlined feelings, what she wants more of. Even if you just want to get sex, she wants feelings, so get her to experience feelings as you talk to her. The more she's expanding on what she feels during any adventure in her life, the more she will be reciprocating in the conversation with you. So the main point is to open a loop in her mind with some unresolved tension, something intriguing or something she's not quite sure about, or anything where she has to validate herself maybe, or anything that is surprising but she's not sure of what it means and she would like to know more. Anything like this, and it has to be something unique about her. In the very beginning, it is only about her. You forget about yourself, you forget about what you want. In the beginning, it is her. You are focused on her. Then you only start talking about yourself once and only once she has asked a question about you. Before she does so, she's not interested yet. And she might never be interested, who knows. In the beginning, you just focus on her and make her elaborate on deeper feelings about her, about what she likes, about what she doesn't like, about how she wants to feel today, tomorrow, with her next boyfriend, whatever. How does she want to feel? And before getting on the right way to amplify the tension until she wants to get on a date with you, you might grow more curious about the those 5 language patterns that will be evocative of all the things you can say during a date or through texting, so that she wants to meet you and she gets more curious and maybe even horny sometimes about the conversation she's having with you. Those are some of the best ones I have ever used, either topics of conversation or used only as simple lines, and you have that down below, ready to download whenever you are ready. With that in mind, let's proceed with the way to amplify tension in her mind so that she likes you even more. At this next phase, I would say the biggest mistake I have seen is to see guys having a script inside their head they are trying to stick onto because they have read the mystery method or even speed seduction or anything new under the sun, and they just keep that picture in mind and they want to get to the end of the sequence. And all those sequences, the mystery method or anything, they are general guidelines, they are not static models. When you are with a human being, things are chaotic, things don't go linear, things are just moving in every direction until eventually you get to the goal. So dance with her mind. And what I mean specifically by dancing with her mind is to always use her last reply or her last answer to build your next reply. Each of your replies must be hooked onto the last thing she said, or one of the last things she said in her last message. Not 10 minutes ago, but in her last message. Always begin your reply by commenting or doubling down on something she just said before. Remember the graph? You have to escalate based on the last emotion. If at the beginning of that loop she felt curiosity, then you can lead that curiosity into fascination. Then from fascination, you can lead that into growing even more ecstatic about knowing more. Then from there you may grow into some excitement, nervous excitement, and you build up while never completely resolving the tension, because you don't fully give her what she wants, you just drop hints about her potentially getting it without being able to do so right away. At the end, she will grow so curious and so fascinated about you that she will have no other option than meeting you as fast as possible. For example, let's say you made a comment about her cat on the picture and she said, being kind of cold, well, I don't really like cats, it was a gift for my friend. So she was just holding the cat in the picture for the friend's birthday, but she doesn't really like cats. Oh damn, she's cold on the message, then you don't know what to say, like most guys. Very simple, my friend. So you are a good person, I hope. What's the best thing you would do for a friend? Then you lead into something else. Oh, the best thing I would do for a friend, emotional connection, trust, friendship, building something strong between me and my bestie. That is something you can easily lead her mind into. Next example, let's say you talk about going to a foreign country and she says, well, yeah, I like traveling. What about you? Pretty generic, but kind of a good start. Then you might say, well, I used to love it, traveling, but I got scared after spending 2 weeks in a prison in Mexico. What's your favorite country, by the way? Again, only say that if it is true. If it is not true in your case, and I haven't been in Mexico myself, but use anything shocking about your real life. Little hint, that means you have to develop an exciting lifestyle at the same time you develop those skills. Just a hint like this for your unconscious mind. Let's say you indeed had some bad adventure in Mexico. You drop something like this, she will have no other option than asking you the question, but what happened? Again, an open loop. You drop a hint, but you don't resolve the tension. Something terrible happened, but she doesn't quite know what it is yet. From that point, she will need at some point to get in front of you or have a conversation, a deeper conversation with you, so that you open up. Women love guys opening up and sharing things, being vulnerable, maybe not to the point of crying on their shoulders, not yet, but at least something where they get to open up. Last one, let's say you talked about music and she said, well, I love concerts, but I don't have enough time to go these days. Again, mild interest if she says this to you, but not a massive involvement in the conversation just yet. So you might reply with, well, people can really go crazy during a concert. Hope I could forget what happened last time. I almost lost a friend. And you stop there. It is a hint, it is something with huge unresolved emotional tension, and she's invited implicitly to ask you a question about it. Your friend, like, what the hell, what happened? You keep dropping bombs like this while never completely resolving them, or if it is really getting something she's hooked on the story because she wants to know more, you tell her, well, I don't know you quite enough yet. I just don't know you enough, or maybe I will tell you later. Maybe I will tell you when I know you more deeply. If someday you and I are close, if someday, I'm not pushing her in any way, if someday you and I get close, maybe I will reveal all the things about this Mexico adventure. But it is quite personal, you know, I usually don't talk too much about the details. And she might say, well, sounds like you really want to open up. Of course I do want to open about it. Why not meeting tomorrow for coffee at 2 p.m.? Anyway, and basically, if you drop bombs like this, and if she's not grabbing, catching any of those by questioning you, at some point, she's just not interested anyway, and you would invest your time better on somebody else. Or just leave it there and give her an opportunity to catch the conversation later. If she's not doing it, it is her loss, not yours. Let's say that after 3 hooks like this, 3 open loops like this, if she's not catching any of them and questioning you about any of them, at some point, okay, fine, goodbye, let's talk to somebody else. And the other great opportunity when doing this, when dropping hints about your life without expanding too much because it has to stay on her, at least in the beginning, you are getting the profile in her mind more confused. Basically, whenever a woman meets a guy, she immediately tries, even unconsciously, to get him into a box of what she knows. Okay, this is a player, this is a douchebag, this is the guy I might be hired by, this is the gay best friend. They always have pre-planned categories like this in their mind. When your conversation is stimulating but builds a lot of unresolved tension, she might have trouble to exactly figure out who you are. She might have an idea, but if the idea is kind of confusing because she's not sure who you are, she's not scared at all, but she's not sure either who you are, then she will get more curious and want to know more about you. As a summary before getting on the right way to lead to a date with her, what is the next feeling you can lead her into based on her last reply? This is the main meta frame you have to keep in mind whenever you have a conversation with a girl and you're not quite sure how to escalate or how to lead the conversation next. Only remember this. What is the next feeling, especially positive feeling, you can lead her mind into based on her last reply? She said this. Okay, what did she feel when she said this? Which other feeling might she feel later because she has said this? Lead her mind into more and more feelings and escalate on the loop until you reach something really strong where she can't hold herself anymore. She needs to grab you and make out with you. When comes the time to finally stop talking and start meeting, and keep talking over meeting, but the meeting will get to more essential things, I hope for you. Maybe it will happen. Of course, it might happen pretty soon for you after watching this video. Who knows? You might get yourself out of the generic things to say like, let's grab a coffee together. Let's hang out together. Those things are way too generic. She is a busy person, hopefully, or she might just have more interesting things to do. And if you're really boring, then the more interesting thing is basically watching Netflix. And I hope you can get yourself out of the box of the guy less interesting than Netflix in her mind, which you can obviously do with those techniques. The basic way to get yourself out of that shitty box is to only propose her things she already loves doing or things that she has a lot of curiosity about. Even if she likes some of your stories or some of the things about you, you don't invite her to talk about you. You lead her into a date by proposing to do an activity that will make her do things that she likes. If you both want to go to a concert, then you plan the date to the concert. If you both want to learn more about science fiction in the library because some new author popped up some novel, then both of you are going to the library together to read about this. Invite her to something she already likes doing anyway. If you're not quite sure about how invested she is emotionally yet, simply propose something with low investment of time, so not something that is going to require 2 days or even 5 hours, just, 45 minutes. It is a 45 minutes lecture with that author she mentioned she loved. Perfect, we can go to that lecture together. And if she's really just unsure, you might simply invite her in a place where other people hang out too, so it is less intimate, and if she doesn't really quite know you yet, that is less intimidating to go in a place with other people where they surround together also. And in the extreme positive case for you, if she's highly responsive and whatever you say, she's craving stories from you and she wants to know more about you, if you see that high level of responsiveness, whatever you say, she's super engaged, then simply say, hey, on Monday I'm going there to that place, do you want to join? And you go there anyway, it's not even a question. You go there, and if you want to be around, I will see you. If not, not my problem. That is what you can do when she's really responsive. If she's not responsive or mildly interested, invite her to something with low investment of time and low investment of intimacy. Something with other people, less intimate than a date with the two of us, only the two of us together over dinner. That's too romantic for somebody who doesn't know you quite yet. Finally, you can amplify the propensity of leading to the date by using hypnotic double binds. I have extensively talked about double binds in that video with a speed seduction on a different context. Here on texting, you might simply use double binds at the end by proposing two different choices that will lead to the same outcome, which is the two of you will meet together outside. For instance, you might say, do you prefer to meet at 5 p.m. or 8 p.m.? Do you prefer to meet during the afternoon or at night? Would you be rather a person enjoying some exotic dinner, exotic meaning like Asian food, Italian food, Mexican food, whatever? Are you somebody enjoying more Mexican food, or do you just want to grab something quick to eat? And you lead like this with two choices that lead to the same outcome, which is, in any case, the two of you will meet together. Obviously, that technique in that way does not work if she's not already emotionally invested at least a little bit into you, but when she is kind of interested and she just needs the last push on the butt to finally get to meet you, those can be interesting techniques to elaborate on. And I have centered this whole video on the very initial encounters. How do you grab attention in the beginning and build up tension from the moment she just met you? And I might do another video with the more sexualizing aspect of texting, which can be done also. Depends on the girl, but that can be done definitely. I might do another video on this too. Just write a comment down below if you are interested in this topic also. And waiting for this to arrive, you have the 5 language patterns I have used the most in every conversation to seduce the girls I liked the most during college and even afterward. You have those 5 language patterns contained. Those are what worked the best for me from experience after about 10 years at this point, and you can use them tonight as soon as you get on a date.